Hi, my name is Deirdre Martinez of the Uplift Movement, elevating your health with cannabis. Today we are doing a yin yoga practice. Yin goes with yang, and what that means is yang is kind of what we have in our modern society. We're busy, we're always doing things, we're making things, we're going. What we need is more yin. Yin is the allowing, the receiving, the accepting, the relaxing, and the restoration. So you need time to do both of them. And the yin is just as important as the yang. People a lot of times think if they're not sweating and exercising hard, then they're not working hard enough. And actually what we need to do is incorporate more yin so that way the body can relax and restore and do what it's naturally designed to do. So a lot of times is what happens is that when we are in that constant yang, we experience chronic stress. Stress is okay sometimes, right? We have the eustress, but it's when it's chronic, then all of a sudden it puts our body into fight or flight mode and the nervous system gets hijacked. And then all of a sudden we have chronic illnesses, stubborn belly fat, insomnia, digestive problems. By incorporating a yin practice, now we're changing the nervous system into rest and digest. That improves metabolism, digestion, immunity, all those things that we need to thrive. Incorporating cannabis also improves our endocannabinoid system. You can learn more about that on my blog. So when the endocannabinoid system is balanced, then all the systems in the body are balanced as well. So feel free to incorporate some CBD in this practice if you're a newbie to cannabis, or low dose THC, whatever floats your boat. Okay, what you will need for this practice is some props, 2 blocks, and also I like to do like a blindfold or a towel, something to cover your eyes. Maybe you have an eye mask, a couple of blankets, and then a bolster. So depending, and you know, this is a practice, right? So you might find that as you do this practice, you might need some more props. So feel free to incorporate them as you go. We're gonna start in a child's pose. Okay, so we're gonna set up our bolster like this. The knees are separate, and I have the bolster in between my knees. Big toes touch, and then inhale here with the spine long, and exhale, walk your hands down. And then turn your head to whichever direction you like. Now this is where we're going to use a towel or an eye mask, and we're gonna need a timer. So take out your timer, and we're gonna time ourselves for 3 minutes. And now we're gonna go ahead and take the eye mask or the towel and just place it over the eyes. Setting the timer for 3 minutes, and you could put the hands towards the back, or you can hug them around the bolster in the front, whatever feels better. And then just dropping into the body. So noticing the breath. Notice any sounds from outside and any sensations in the body. And being aware of those, but also staying anchored to the breath. If you experience any sort of desire to fidget or move, again, just coming back to the breath and staying anchored to it, really allowing yourself to stay present in the body. Notice the mind starting to wander. It's okay, that's what the mind tends to do. So in this meditative practice, just keep bringing your attention back to your breath. Maybe even try to deepen your breath. Even more long, deep inhales and exhales. Okay, and slowly put the palms down on the mat and slowly push your torso off the bolster. Nice and relaxing, right? We're gonna move the bolster a little bit away from the thighs now. And we're gonna turn over onto our backs. We're gonna need the blocks and the bolster for this next pose. Bring the soles of the feet together, and the bolster comes right to the lower back area. And the blocks are gonna go right underneath the kneecaps. And adjust the blocks whatever height feels good for you. Everybody's body's different. I also like to put a blanket because that makes me feel more warm. And then take the towel or whatever you have to cover up your eyes and place it over your eyes, taking the arms out long to the side. And long, deep breaths again. And try to breathe into the belly and then into the chest. And then exhale and let it go. So nice, long, deep breaths. And really feeling your body just way down to the floor. Letting yourself feel heavy. Notice any areas where you're holding on to tension, perhaps in the eyebrows or the face. Again, just allowing the muscles to relax and dropping deeper into the breath. slowly, you take the towel off the eyes, assist the knees with your hands by pushing the knees together, and then rolling over to one side. You can move the blocks over to one side and the bolster. We're just going to do a couple of rounds of cat-cow. So hands directly underneath the shoulders. Otherwise, you can also do fists. That feels better on your wrists. Knees underneath the hips, and then inhale, lift the chest, lift the hips, and then exhale, tuck and round the upper back. Inhale again, and then exhale. Okay, so now let's go ahead and set up for bridge pose. It's going to be supported. And we're going to take one block, slowly lower yourself all the way back down onto the floor. Make sure that you have your eye towel right near you. Now, feet directly underneath the knees. Okay, tuck the shoulders down. Inhale here, and then exhale, press the hips up towards the ceiling, and then you're just sliding the block right underneath the hips. Okay, we don't want to put it too high. Sometimes, I know especially if we're very flexible, we want to go to the highest part, but that actually might put too much strain on the body, and this is really about restoring and relaxing, cultivating that healing type of experience. And so there's no struggle or strain. We want to have it nice and ease and gentle. Okay, so now let's take the eye towel, put it over the eyes. Let the arms come by the sides. And again, noticing any tension in the body, maybe around the face, and just relaxing. And breathing, the long, deep breaths. And also, it's not uncommon for, again, there to be a lot of thinking, okay? So when that happens, if you notice yourself unable to just be present and stay in the body and breathe into the body, that's okay. Just come back to the breath. So in this pose, we're opening up the hips. So try to imagine taking an inhale so deep that you're breathing into the hips. Okay. Wiggle your fingers and press the feet down into the floor. Engage the abs. And then slowly press the hips up towards the ceiling so you can remove the block from underneath the hips and slowly lower the hips down. You can remove your eye towel and then roll over to the side. I love that pose, it feels so good. Okay, now we're gonna set up for a pigeon, and that might be uncomfortable for some of us, especially if we have tender knees. So you can also lay on your back and do a figure 4, which looks like this, okay? You can also do that against the wall if you want to make it really restorative. But otherwise, we're doing single leg pigeon. Bringing the shin in alignment with the top of the mat, okay? And then we're gonna slide the leg back, the opposite leg back, making it straight. And we're gonna use our bolster here. So I'm bringing the bolster right at the top of the mat. And then, same thing, you can take your eye towel and slowly lower your upper body down, turning the head to one side. And the same thing, we're gonna lie here for about 3 minutes in this restorative outer hip stretch. Allowing your breath to deepen. This can be a pretty intense pose for many of us, and noticing possibly any sort of agitation or desire to pull out. And again, just being aware that the sensations might be creating thoughts, and triggering feelings. And again, just coming back to the breath, not allowing that type of internal commotion to distract you from being present. You experience again those distractions, just deepening the breath. Okay, so we're done. Just slowly press the palms down onto the floor and lift yourself up from that deep stretch. And we're gonna make our way onto the other side. Same thing here. The shin aligns with the top of the mat, and you're gonna slide the opposite leg back. Okay, so keep the spine long as you slowly lower yourself down. And I'm gonna turn my head in the opposite direction this time. And using the towel as well. So once you get into your pose and your position, breathe. And slowly press the palms down, lift the torso, and then slowly come out of the pose. So these are pretty deep hip openers. We're gonna keep moving on to some more hip openers. Just remember that everybody's body's different, so just because I'm not using more blankets doesn't mean that you don't have to. You can always add more blankets if you need more support. So now, bringing the soles of the feet together and really kind of push them away. They're not so close to the hips, but you want to have a nice almost triangle right here, and bring one block to the side, like this on its side. And then the other block's gonna be vertical, right where the feet are. So now let's take the bolster, and you're gonna put the base right where the groin is, and then let it rest on top of the block. So it's giving you a little ramp here. So this is a perfect example where I'm just gonna rest my torso on top and then place my head. but at the same time, you might find that you might need some more blankets or place another bolster. So whatever it is that you need for more support. Go ahead and grab your eye towel and then rest the torso on top of the bolster. And I like to cover my feet with my hands because my feet get cold, but you can also just let them rest to the side, whatever feels good for you. So again, coming into the deep breathing, you might notice how the mind can just keep wandering. And just notice it, but then come back to the breath, staying present in the body, in this moment of relaxation and restoration. Okay, and then slowly using the hands to push the torso up. That's one of my favorite poses. It just feels so good around the hips. Okay, now the next one is pretty intense also. But as I mentioned at the beginning, we don't want strain. So you might also want to use several props here to provide more support. I'm gonna take my bolster, bring it right here. It's coming more of like a horizontal pose. It's called frog. Some people may want to put the blankets underneath the knees if you feel any tension underneath the legs. I like it without the blankets, so everybody's different. You just take care of your body. Start with the knees together, almost kind of like, we're gonna set up for cat-cow, but the knees are together, hands directly under the shoulders, and then slowly start to walk the knees out. Okay, this is a fun one to get into. It's called frog. You're gonna flex the feet, and then make sure that the hips are kind of back. The abdominals are somewhat engaged. You're not kind of letting your belly drop, and there's an arch in the lower back. So pull the belly up and in, and allow the tailbone to go down towards the floor. And then slowly make your way down onto the bolster. You can turn your head to one side and allow yourself to, again, breathe and rest, putting the towel over the eyes. So again, with these deeper stretches or these poses, you might start to notice some anxiety or aversion, resistance, distraction. Just being aware of it, not necessarily letting yourself get carried away by it. Just come back to your breathing and back to your breath. Okay, and then slowly press the palms down onto the floor, lifting your torso up, and then bringing your knees in one at a time. Oh, isn't that a fun one? That's another one that I really like. It's pretty deep, but it's also very healing. Okay, the next one, we're gonna do some twisting. So bring the bolster right here in the middle of the mat again. And we're gonna bring the knees together. You could face whatever direction, we're just gonna switch sides. And then turn the torso so that the chest is in alignment with the bolster. Okay, and keep your eye towel nearby. And then slowly lower the torso down onto the bolster. I'm gonna turn my head in the opposite direction, so I'm getting a full twist here. And then take your towel and place it over the eyes. And then once you're in the pose, deep breathing, long, deep breaths. Okay, and slowly go ahead and press the palms down as you lift your torso off the bolster. And we're gonna slowly make our way to the other side. And we're using the towel to cover the eyes because we want to withdraw as much stimulation as possible, because the stimulation affects the nervous system. And we want to keep the nervous system relaxed and the mind at ease. Now, with the legs on the other side, just make sure that the knees are together and that our torso is square towards the bolster. And then slowly walk the torso, the hands down so that the torso lays down on the bolster, and turn your head. As soon as you're on your bolster, take the towel, cover up the eyes, and go back into that deep breathing. And then slowly pressing the palms down onto the floor and lifting the torso. So good. Okay, now we're going to make our way down into our final resting pose, Shavasana. And we're gonna set this up also so that it's very relaxing. Take the bolster and you can put it underneath the knees. And then I'm actually gonna use a blanket, or if you have another pillow, you can use that to put underneath the head. And then I'm using a blanket to cover up my feet and my body because I get so cold And Shavasana is also known as corpse pose. And as I kind of mentioned earlier, how the winter solstice or the evening time, right? This is like time we're supposed to put certain things to rest, to let go, to die, to just, you know, anything that is weighing us down, any stress, just letting it go. Okay, so let's take the pillow that we have or the blanket and just make sure that it's underneath the head so we're nice and relaxed. And then tuck the shoulder blades underneath. And then the same thing, you want to have your eye towel. And we're going to hold this one a little bit longer. We're going to do 5 minutes. Okay, let the palms go up towards the ceiling, tuck the shoulders, and just breathe. wiggle the fingers and the toes. Take another big deep breath in and out. And slowly take the eye cover off and bend the knees. Roll over to the side and maybe just pause for a moment before you rush to get up. Remember, we want to move slow and mindfully. Keeping the integrity of our practice of that yin, right? So slowly coming up. And we did it. We did our yin yoga practice. And maybe for some of us, we were so quickly to fall into meditation, maybe even we just fell asleep because we were so exhausted. Or maybe some of us found it really difficult to be in meditation because we couldn't stop thinking about things. Maybe things that felt like we had to do instead of just being here and being. So remember, yin is the process of just being, allowing, moving with the flow, whereas yang is more of the doing, putting energy into, right? The yin practice is bringing the energy, restoring it, holding it in, keeping it in the body, right? So that the body can heal, that it can be in its natural flow, rejuvenation, restoration, and healing. Again, feel free to combine cannabis with the practice to help with restoring the endocannabinoid system. And this can be a practice that you do anytime. I love it at nighttime, but sometimes I might do 1 or 2 of these poses during the day if I'm feeling really stressed. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to stay up to date with all the videos that I released, from yoga to cannabis. And then also maybe comment what you thought about the practice, or maybe anything that you would like to see in addition to. And hop on over to my website, deirdremartinez.com, where my blog features information about elevating your health with cannabis. Namaste.